Most people ask the wrong question. It's not whether women rely on men or whether men rely on women. The real question is how reliance is distributed and what happens when it disappears. Understanding that explains modern dating, isolation, and why so many people feel disconnected despite more freedom than ever. This video isn't about who needs who more. It's about how men and women are actually wired to regulate, evaluate, and cooperate, and why misunderstanding that wiring creates so much confusion. What really matters is the difference between dependence and interdependence, and how our instincts evolved around that distinction. To make sense of all of this, we have to start with a simple question. Not a political one, not a cultural one, but a biological and psychological one. Instinctually speaking, how do women tend to relate to men? Are they wired to rely on men for well-being and stability, or is it more about evaluation and choice? And what's the instinctive dynamic in the other direction? This is a good question, and it's worth answering carefully because people often mix biology, psychology, and modern social norms into one blurry idea. I'll break it down cleanly, without ideology. Short answer, plain English. Women are not instinctually reliant on men as individuals. Women are instinctually tuned to assess men for safety, competence, and reliability. Men are instinctually tuned to seek access, approval, and cooperation from women. These instincts are complementary, not hierarchical. Reliance is conditional, not automatic. The evolutionary baseline, biology, not culture. Why instincts exist at all? Instincts evolved around survival, reproduction, raising vulnerable offspring. Humans evolved in environments where pregnancy equals high biological cost, infants equals helpless for years. Survival depended on cooperation. That shaped different default priorities, not superiority or dependence. Women's core instincts toward men, on average. 1. Risk and safety assessment. Women instinctively scan men for physical threat versus protection, emotional stability, self-control. This is not submission, it's risk management. Open quote, is this man safe to be around? Close quote. This instinct is stronger in women than men because women historically faced higher physical vulnerability. Pregnancy reduces mobility and increases risk. 2. Competence and reliability detection. Women tend to evaluate, can this man handle pressure? Is he consistent? Does he follow through? This does not mean women want to be taken care of. It means instability is costly. Incompetence increases risk. 3. Social and emotional intelligence. Women are generally more sensitive to social dynamics, emotional regulation, power shifts. Instinctually, a man who cannot regulate himself, danger or liability. A man who understands social reality, safer long-term bet. 4. Conditional interdependence. Women's instincts favor partnership, not dependence, mutual benefit, not surrender of autonomy. Historically, women relied on tribes, not one man failing survival failure. So the instinct is, open quote, can I cooperate with you safely and beneficially? Close quote. Not, open quote, I must rely on you, close quote. Men's core instincts toward women, on average. 1. Drive to provide, protect, prove. Men evolved with instincts toward competence signaling, resource acquisition, risk-taking. Not because women demanded it, but because those traits increased mating and survival success. 2. Approval and acceptance sensitivity. Men are more sensitive to sexual acceptance, respect, status recognition, especially from women. This often looks like competition, achievement, overextension. 3. Attachment through utility. Men often bond by doing, fixing, providing, solving, where women bond more through emotional attunement, communication, safety. Are women instinctually reliant on men? No, but they are selectively interdependent. Women are not wired to depend. They are wired to evaluate whether dependence would be safe. Key difference. If a man is unstable, is incompetent, is emotionally volatile, the instinct is, open quote, avoid reliance, close quote. If a man is consistent, is capable, is emotionally regulated, the instinct becomes, open quote, cooperation is beneficial, close quote. Are men instinctually reliant on women? Yes, but in a different way. Men are more likely to be emotionally isolated, motivated by female approval, regulated by romantic attachment. Women often serve as emotional grounding, social integration, meaning anchor. This is why men's health and lifespan improve in stable relationships. Men deteriorate faster in isolation than women. Modern distortion. Important. Modern society. reduced physical survival dependence, increased economic independence, outsourced protection to institutions. But instincts lag behind environments, so we see confusion. Men unsure how to be useful, women unsure when to trust, both reacting to instincts that no longer map cleanly. Bottom line, clean and honest, women's instincts are selective, evaluative, and safety-focused. Men's instincts are performative, proving-oriented, and approval-sensitive. Neither sex is instinctually meant to dominate or depend entirely. Healthy dynamics equals chosen interdependence. Open quote, dependency is a failure mode. Interdependence is the evolutionary target. Close quote. Men deteriorate faster in isolation because women are better at maintaining emotional regulation, social support, and meaning without a primary partner. Men are not. That's not weakness. It's design interacting with environment. 1. Emotional processing differences. Men tend to externalize stress, action, work, problem solving, suppress emotional expression, rely on one primary emotional outlet, often a partner. Women tend to verbalize stress, share emotions with multiple people, maintain broader emotional networks. Result, remove a partner, men lose their main emotional regulator. Remove a partner, women still have distributed regulation. This is why widowers show sharp mortality spikes. Widows do not or recover faster. Social network structure. Men's social networks are smaller, activity-based, less emotionally intimate. Let's do something rather than let's talk. Women's networks are larger, emotionally layered, maintained deliberately. So when isolation hits, men's networks collapse, women's networks compress but survive. 3. Identity anchoring. Men often anchor identity in role, provider, protector, builder, utility. What do I do for others? Achievement. When isolated, role disappears, utility disappears, identity erodes. Women anchor identity more in relational continuity, self-narrative, internal states. This gives women psychological redundancy. Number 4, biological stress response. Male stress profile, higher cortisol spikes, slower emotional recovery, less oxytocin buffering. Female stress profile. Oxytocin plays a larger role, stress dampened by social contact, faster emotional recovery through communication. Isolation removes oxytocin sources. Men feel this loss more acutely. Number 5, health behavior differences. In isolation, men are more likely to skip medical care, eat poorly, abuse substances, lose routine. Women, on average, maintain self-care habits, seek help sooner, preserve routines. This compounds deterioration over time. Number 6, meaning and mortality link. For many men, a relationship provides existential structure. Without it, days blur, motivation decays. This is why suicide rates are higher in isolated men. Retirement plus isolation is dangerous for men. Men decline rapidly after divorce or widowhood. Number 7, it's not men need women more, it's how regulation is distributed. Men tend to centralize emotional support. Women tend to decentralize emotional support. Centralized systems fail catastrophically. Decentralized systems degrade gracefully. 8, modern amplification. Modern life discourages male vulnerability, removes communal male bonding, replaces purpose with abstraction. Men were never designed for emotional self-containment, long-term isolation, meaning without contribution. Women adapt better because their regulation systems are multi-node. Bottom line, men deteriorate faster in isolation because their emotional regulation is partner-centric, their social networks are narrower, their identity is role-dependent, their stress response is less buffered, their help-seeking is delayed. None of this is destiny, it's architecture. Practical implication, important. Men who thrive alone intentionally rebuild what isolation removes. Purpose. Brotherhood, men they can speak honestly with. Routine, non-negotiable structure. Contribution, being useful to something real. Isolation isn't fatal. Unstructured isolation is. I can explain how men can build resilience without relationships, why modern dating worsens this dynamic, what actually replaces a relationship psychologically, why some men don't deteriorate in isolation. I'll walk through all 4, cleanly and concretely, without hype or ideology. Think of this as a manual, not motivation. Number 1. How men can build resilience without relationships. This is about replacing missing regulatory systems, not becoming emotionless. A. Replace emotional regulation. Men often regulate emotions through touch, presence, being seen by a partner. Without that, you need active regulation, not suppression. What works? Intense physical exertion, strength training, sprinting, martial arts, cold exposure, heat exposure, breath control, box breathing, CO2 tolerance work. Writing, not journaling feelings, structuring thoughts. Why? These directly downregulate cortisol and stabilize mood. B. Replace accountability. Relationships create daily behavioral correction, social mirroring, consequences. Without them, men drift. What works? Fixed schedules, same wake time, same training days. Public commitments, class, team, non-negotiable standards, miss equals penalty. Men need external structure more than internal intention. C. Replace intimacy without pretending you don't need it. You cannot replace intimacy with porn, scrolling, or fantasy. That accelerates decay. Viable substitutes: brotherhood with honesty, 2 to 4 men max, physical skill training with contact, grappling, sparring, service roles, mentoring, coaching, volunteering. These activate the same neurochemical pathways, oxytocin's dopamine, without romance. Number 2, why modern dating worsens male deterioration. Modern dating removes regulation and adds instability. A. Intermittent reinforcement. Dating apps produce unpredictable validation, random rejection, no feedback loop. This mirrors gambling addiction, dopamine spikes without grounding. Men become anxious, reactive, approval-seeking. B. Abundance illusion. Men see thousands of options they don't actually have. Women see thousands of suitors, many low quality. This creates male overinvestment, female hyperselection, emotional whiplash. Neither side stabilizes. C. Performance without purpose. Men are pushed to optimize attractiveness, perform confidence, hide uncertainty. But there's no shared mission, family, survival, building. So effort feels hollow, burnout, withdrawal. Number 3, what actually replaces a relationship psychologically? You cannot replace a relationship with self-love. You replace it with systems. The 4 functions a relationship provides: 1. Emotional regulation, 2. Identity reinforcement, 3. Behavioral stabilization, 4. Meaning continuity. Here's what replaces each. 1. Emotional regulation, body-based stress control, hard training, breath work, sleep discipline. Mindset doesn't regulate emotions. The body does. 2. Identity reinforcement, mission men need, a long-term objective, clear progress metrics, resistance. Examples: building a business, mastering a craft, competitive sport, teaching or leading others. Without mission, men spiral into rumination. 3. Behavioral stabilization. Ritual relationships create rhythm. Replace with morning protocol, training blocks, weekly reviews, Sunday planning. No negotiation. Ritual motivation. 4. Meaning continuity, contribution. Meaning comes from being needed, producing value, improving others' lives. This is why men decay after retirement. Usefulness disappears. Number 4, why some men don't deteriorate in isolation. This is critical. Men who don't decay share 5 traits. 1. Distributed regulation. They don't rely on one source, partner, for emotional balance, validation, motivation. They have physical outlet, social outlet, mission outlet. 2. Non-negotiable structure. Their life runs on schedule, standards, systems, not feelings. 3. Brotherhood, not crowds. They have 1 to 3 men they can be real with, shared struggle, mutual accountability. Men don't need many friends. They need honest mirrors. 4. Acceptance of discomfort. They do not chase constant relief. They accept loneliness, tension, uncertainty, and do not anesthetize it with porn, drugs, endless entertainment. 5. Purpose beyond self. They are building something that outlives them, something others depend on, something measurable. Self-focus corrodes men over time. The brutal truth, but freeing. Men are not designed to be emotionally self-contained, aimless, isolated without structure, passive consumers of comfort. But men are designed to build, struggle, contribute, regulate through action. Isolation doesn't break men. Unstructured, meaningless isolation does. Final synthesis. A relationship is not the cure. It's one regulatory system among many. Men who collapse without one, over-centralized regulation. Men who thrive without one, built redundancy.